How's it going, everybody? It is Friday afternoon here in South Florida. It is hot outside. We are going to go to the beach after we make this video. But first, I would like to discuss with you more in depth about OCD, anxiety, and ADHD, and how all three of these disorders come into play to form the disorder called Tourette syndrome. So before we dive deeper into the matter of OCD, I would like to take a step back and discuss ADHD and anxiety because these are less complex disorders. ADHD is very prevalent in young children, especially nowadays, which I think it has to do with the utilization of smartphones and technology and their dependence on it, where if a child doesn't have a smartphone in their hand, they actually have to focus on something in the real world, and it causes their mind to drift elsewhere. I don't know, maybe fantasies about playing games or, fantasies about just anything outside of what they have to do, because it's difficult to focus in class when your mind is always active. Anxiety affects over 260 million people worldwide, and that's just 260 million people documented. There's definitely way more people that have, general anxiety that goes unnoticed and they never see a doctor about it. Anxiety and ADHD go hand in hand in a lot of cases, because anxiety is triggered by ADHD with, the constant fidgeting and your mind drifting elsewhere when you have a task at hand at work or homework or whatever it is. You're trying to do what you have to do, but your mind is interfering with itself, which causes you to stress out over the inability to focus. And this is very common with a lot of college students and even high school students, or people working in an office. You'll be trying to study for a test or something, and then you start thinking about, oh, my rent is due next week, or my car payment's due, or I have to go get some dog food, or I have to do all these other things, but I have to do this right now. And you're trying to balance out all these other thoughts in your head while still doing something in the moment. And finally, this is where obsessive compulsive disorder ties into the other two that I just explained. And it is very difficult to describe obsessive compulsive disorder, so I'm going to break it down into simpler terms. So basically what OCD is the brain's way of coping with not having control over a situation. Whether it was a traumatic event that happened in the past, or just overall your entire life felt like it was out of control, your brain is trying to just seek an opportunity to make it, seem like it is having control over some sort of event. There are many cases of OCD where it doesn't affect an individual's way of life drastically. However, it does still have a minor effect on them, whereas, you leave your house and you close the door, but you don't hear the door close correctly in a way. You have to close it just so it clicks into your brain that a certain frequency of the door closing just feels right to your brain. Now, these recurring intrusive thoughts that almost are like rituals, or like, a set of rules that your brain has to follow in order for it to maintain order, can involve any activity in life. Whether it's turning your car on, you have to turn the key halfway and then turn it back, and then turn it back again a certain way, turn it back, and then finally turn the car on. And if it doesn't, you don't do it in the series of steps that your brain is trying to make it so it's perfect in a way, you're gonna have to keep doing it over and over again until it's just right. Other examples of OCD are people that constantly have to wash their hands after they touch something, or if they get a speck of dirt on their desk, they have to take everything off and clean it, because it's just like it gives you anxiety that it's not perfect. Like your brain has to make sure everything is balanced and perfect in a way. So now that I've discussed ADHD, anxiety, and OCD, I could finally explain how all three of these are related to Tourette syndrome. All three of these disorders trigger each other. So if I'm anxious, then I'm not going to be able to concentrate in class, and then I'm going to be more fidgety, and then that's going to cause my intrusive thoughts to come in, and they are expressed with my tics. So say I'm writing with my pencil or whatever, and I'm writing notes, and all of a sudden I get anxious, and I become fidgety, I have the urge to literally smash the pencil into the paper. Like, I don't want to do that, but my brain keeps telling me to do it, and I fight it off. And the more I suppress the urge to do it, the more anxious I get, to the point that my body starts almost sweating. I get really hot and I get tense and my fingers start tingling, and I have to either step out of the classroom or I have to distract my mind somewhere else. I just have to remove myself from the situation, or I have to face it and just do the tick and get it over with. Now, I personally don't want to have to step out of the classroom every single time I have a tick, so because that's going to impede on my learning. I feel bad for the other students in the classroom, but think of how many times you hear a pencil drop or a page turn or a page rip, or there's so many other sounds in the classroom that one tick is not really that much of a disturbance. A way for me to kind of suppress the tick, as well as getting the tick out and relieving my stress, is I kind of have to like halfway do the tick. So an example of this is the other day I just was on a plane, and as you all know, we live in the age where terrorism is a big threat, and bombs are like a huge deal with planes and all that. And for me, as soon as I step on the plane, my mind knows that that is an issue nowadays, so my mind goes to the first worst thing to possibly say on the plane, and it just so happens that I get the urge to literally scream bomb on the plane, and I don't want to scream that, and I know in the back of my mind, if I do say that, I'm gonna get arrested, regardless if I have Tourette's or not, because that's not a joke. So I have to kind of like say it, but like I have to like cover it in a way. Like I have to be like boom, boom, and boom, boom, boom. Like, so I know in my head that I'm saying it, but other people are just like thinking I don't know what they're thinking, to be honest. But if that makes any sense, that's the best way I could describe it, that to get the tick out, but also not make it so I create a disturbance. It's very difficult in certain situations. Like, it's easier said than done to just let out a tick, because like I said before with the plane reference, I can't scream bomb, I can't scream the F word, or like, it's just certain situations you can't let it out because people are not going to understand, and people are just going to think you're insane. And it's very difficult in society to know when to let one out and when not to let one out, and it's very situational. Now, the way that I try to cope with this is to just let it out. Just if you're feeling a tick, just let it out the one time that you feel it, and you're likely to not feel as anxious as if you were to hold it in and suppress it. Because if I try to hold it in, the more and more that I kind of like suppress it and go instead of just like, it causes more anxiety, and I'm gonna have more ticks than if I just let out the initial tick. And my ticks range from every 30 seconds if I'm really anxious to every hour if I'm feeling really relaxed. Now, I hope I provided a very detailed explanation, and hope you guys understand what's going on in each person's mind with Tourette's, because it is a very difficult syndrome to describe, and I had to break it down in a 10-minute long video for you guys, but I believe it's worth it because I need to educate everybody. I feel like that is what I'm here for and my purpose, so I'm going to go as far as I can with this until everyone gets the message that Tourette's is not really a big deal. I was honestly so shocked after making my first video, the feedback and the positivity that I've received, that it really does encourage me to make more videos just to educate people and spread knowledge around. And we will make another video, and I hope you guys understand and really have grasped the concepts that I have provided for you, and we'll make another video. We'll see you next time.